My wife and I were getting tired of looking at the clutter on our back patio. So she asked me to build a cabinet to go the whole length of the wall. It would have to be 17 inches deep and almost 8 feet long. The refrigerator is 24 inches wide and about 28 inches deep. So I'll have to move it down closer to the end, I think, about where that garbage can is, just to get it away from the sliding glass door. But I'll have to make some kind of an opening for it to fit into the cabinet. So this is what I came up with. It's made out of 1-inch square tubing and some angle iron. I didn't videotape welding it together because I know this video is going to be long enough as it is. I had to do a lot of research to find some decent drawer slides that were full length and good quality. The bottom drawer is incorporated into the face of the cabinet, so I used double slides on that to compensate for the extra weight. And the upper drawer is just a single slide. I added a 4-inch high by 4-inch deep toe kick on the bottom of the cabinet and also adjustable feet. When I ordered the feet, they came with threaded T-nut inserts for wood. I found that if I put them in a 1-inch square tubing and twist them a little bit, they're self-centering. So I just decided just to weld them in that way. That was better than making threaded plugs to weld into the bottom of the legs. The metal is really thin, so I had to be careful welding them in place. Now I can start working on the drawers. I need to compensate for the 1-inch square tubing on the front of the bottom drawers. I really didn't want to cut the threads off of the screws that protrude through the drawer frame. That way in the future, if I ever need to replace the drawer slides, I'll have enough room to hold on to the screw when I screw it out. I did the same thing for all the drawers. Now it's time to make the sides and the backs for the bottom drawers. The fronts of the bottom drawers will be the panel for the face of the cabinet. The upper drawers will need all four sides. Now that I have all the sides and fronts cut, it's time to switch the saw over to the dado blade. I'm setting it up for 1/2 inch wide cuts. The chart says I need 2 saw blades and 2 1/8 inch chipper blades. This is my fixture to make 1/2 inch finger joints. The top of the blade needs to be even with the piece of wood that I'm going to cut. I need to make sample cuts to make sure everything fits together properly. Everything looks good, so I can start making all the cuts for the drawers. Now that I've got all the box joints cut, I still need to deal with the screws for the drawer slides that stick out through the frame. The indexing pin on my box joint fixture is going to be a problem. I need to figure out a way to cut a slot to clear the screw. So I found a piece of scrap wood that I can use for a spacer. Now I need to figure out how far in I need to cut to clear the screw. Once I figured that out, I need to make a stop for my fixture so I can be consistent with all my cuts. I'll cut a sample piece to make sure it's going to work. It looks like that's going to work, so now I can move forward. I left the face of the bottom drawers open because the face of the cabinet's going to act as the front of the drawer. I'll fasten the sides here with a screw. I finished up all the bottom drawers, so now I can start assembling the top drawers, and they'll have all 4 sides. After test fitting all the drawers, I disassembled them all and glued them back together and stained them with Minwax gunstock stain. For the face of the cabinet, I used 1/2 inch birch plywood. I wanted something that would be stable outside, not in the rain, but underneath the patio. I looked at 1/2 inch pine, but it was only 3-ply and it didn't look like it was going to hold up very well. The birch plywood was 5-ply and it looked pretty stable. And it was cheaper than marine plywood. I wanted to give the cabinet some character, so I bought a sheet of 4x8 birch plywood that was 1/4 inch. It was more like a laminate. I cut it into 6-inch slats. To give the cabinet some character, I glued them back onto the 1/2 inch birch plywood. That's the face of the cabinet. But before I did that, I made sure the wood grain matched the same as it was when it was a 4x8 sheet. After the first piece dried, I moved on to the next piece. You can see how the wood grain pattern matches all the way through. I push all the slats together tight and then clamp the end to make sure that all the joints are tight and nothing moves while I glue the next piece in. Now that I finished the first drawer front, I'll start on the middle drawer front. So I have to make sure I have all the panels stacked so that the wood grain should match, but I'm just double checking now. I finished gluing up all the panels, so now I'm going to stain them all And first I'm going to seal them with Minwax pre-stain. It only takes about 15 or 20 minutes for the pre-stain to dry. So now I'm going to use dark walnut stain. After all the drawer fronts were stained, I sealed them with semi-gloss polyurethane. I left about a 4-inch standoff between the first drawer and the wall where you come out of the house and go out onto the patio, just so the drawer doesn't drag on the wall. So I had to make a filler piece to fill in that standoff area. I painted all the edges and all the exposed wood with flat black paint, and also painted the toe kick with flat black paint. I also used the 1/2-inch birch plywood for the toe kick. For the cubby hole where the refrigerator is going to go, I just painted both sides of the plywood with flat black.